Chapter 3. The Cursed Land. We left the village early in the morning. Killian rented a van with the driver who agreed to take us there and back. I chose a sari to wear in the conservative village. For a walk, for a special occasion, for a ride. I like it. I like that one. We had to get up at dawn and reach the Klippahagrami by the afternoon. After 4 hours of sleep, I was hardly looking rested, so I resorted to putting on some makeup. I'm good with the light makeup. We'd been driving for several hours, and I was thinking about what happened. Mr. Rose said a lot in the archive. Tomas Vitali, Kalisan, Kalidasa, and all those things about Killian. As far as I remember, Vitali is an underground haven of one of Shiva's forms, his kingdom. Is this the place he was talking about? And Tomas is something about darkness, translated from Sanskrit. I wish I knew this language better. I warily leaned against the window. Killian was quietly dozing off while Lima was reading a book. I think he meant... the dark dimension. Some kind of scary and gloomy place full of angry creatures. If Vitali is a place, then Tomas must be some quality describing it. I sighed heavily. I couldn't believe I was seriously thinking about ghosts and other worlds, but I couldn't keep denying it. It all existed, I knew for sure. Mr. Rose said that Lightwood knows the purpose of the diplomat's trip, but chose not to tell us. If this is true, I will tell my colleagues about Mr. Rose and the other Bahoots. It will be a clear proof that supernatural forces exist. I couldn't dream up something I didn't know about. After a while, we stopped. All right, we're here, let's go. Leaving the van, we stretched our legs. We were greeted by an elderly man. Hello. Which of you speaks the local language? Hello, my name is Amala Khan. I answered him in Bengali, although I didn't know it was as well as Hindi. My family was against me learning Bengali, but during the time I spent in Calcutta, I'd managed to pick it up. I found it very easy, as if it were my mother tongue. Upon hearing my last name, the man slightly grimaced. I see. My name is Isha. Follow me. He walked ahead. I hesitated a little while Killian and Lima, who didn't understand anything, just looked at each other. Wait, but where to? What do you mean, where? To the house. You're confusing us with someone else. We came... You're expected. Without another word, Isha walked away. Where is he going? I don't understand what's going on, but we'd better do what he says. What a strange place, although it's very interesting. We followed the man. As I walked in silence, I looked around. The locals, distracted from their business, looked at us intently as if we were some curiosity. Why are they staring at us so openly? It's a small village. They must not see tourists very often. It's probably better not to speak English in front of them. Yes, otherwise they will be hostile. There are many elderly people here. They still remember the conflict with the British. Let's avoid making them mad. It's better to try and blend in. Fine, suit yourself. After some more walking, we stopped at an isolated, dilapidated house. It stood out from all the rest of the houses. It was overgrown with plants and moss. Here, yours. What's in this house? Go in, see. I'm doing as I was told. He calmly unlocked the door and entered, without waiting for any of us. What are we doing here? He brought us to see this house. Why? I don't know. Someone told him to do that. I'll follow him, stay here. Who knows what's inside? He silently entered the house, slightly ducking his head. The doorway was too low for him. Amala, I'm starting to get nervous. Maybe this was a bad idea. The locals look a little threatening. I feel uncomfortable here. Everything will be alright. We're with Killian. Stay closer to us if you're nervous. I just feel a little strange. Lima, you're a scaredy cat. Go join Killian if you want. I'll wait for you here. She nodded and also entered the house. Left alone, I looked around the village. It was beautiful here, an authentic Indian village fenced by mighty mountains. I could hear the sound of the sea, the rustle of the leaves, the villagers' voices, and someone's footsteps. I had just about the time to turn around when someone grabbed my shoulder. Why the hell did you come here? You don't belong! The man grabbed my hand so fiercely and suddenly that I found myself paralyzed with fear. Go away! Get out of here! Digging his dirty nails into my skin, the man pulled me towards him. Let go of me. I tried to free myself, but it only made it worse. What do you want? Perish, strangers! There was so much anger and madness in his eyes that I actually got scared. I'll devour you! His choice will affect rage or kindness of goddess stats. I'm not a stranger. I'm not English. My family is from India, just like yours. He was clearly surprised when I answered him in Bengali, but he didn't loosen his grip. You lying snake. I can feel you're not one of us. I took 2 steps back, but he wouldn't let me go. Leave or die! Suddenly, someone seized him by the scruff of his neck and roughly pulled him away from me. Ouch! The bewildered man fell on his back, but immediately jumped back to his feet. Before us stood, in a black suit. In a black suit, his hair's tied, hair loose. Listen, it's black. You know how I feel about this. Ratan? Don't you dare touch her. Get lost. It only took a moment for the villager to run away, looking back in fear. Ratan shifted his calm gaze to me. I don't understand. What are you doing here? I thought I came for you. You shouldn't be here alone. Who thought it would be a good idea to come here at all? I put my head in my hands, completely baffled. But what did that man want from me? And what do you want from us? Didn't you ignore all of our calls? Fear and surprise mixed inside me in a wave of anger. I was the one who asked Isha to show you to this house, my house. Leave your things here. Take some rest from your trip before you start working. Don't tell me what to do. We heard Killian and Lima's voice. They came out of the house discussing something. When they noticed Ratan, both froze at the same time. Isha bowed curtly. Mr. Vaish, I have done everything you asked. Go. The man left obediently, heading somewhere further away. Ratan, what are you doing here? Killian was silent, looking at Ratan incredulously from under his brows. A hostile stare that doesn't bode well. Explain yourself, or I won't be responsible for what happens next. Calm down, Captain Lightwood. You can't cope here without me. Are you planning to run interference here, too? I'll explain, but later. I don't think it's up to you to decide. That's right, it's up to me. Until the new team leader arrives, I'm in charge, right? Yes. Raton looked into my eyes so intently that I wanted to look away, but I just held my head high. I think it would be very hard for us to work with you if you don't explain yourself first. Let's go inside. You can leave your things here, and we'll talk. Killian, who had been carrying our bags all this time, didn't argue. Once inside, Lightwood threw our things on the sofa. The house smelled of herbs, fresh wood, and slight dampness. It was cooler there than outside. The room looked clean, but far from cozy. It was as if no one had lived there for a very long time. With a hesitation, I immediately turned to Raton. What is all this, Raton? You hid information, ignored our calls, and now you're here, as if nothing happened. You knew how important this investigation is to us, and you still withheld some information. He sighed, his gaze softening. Amala, I can explain. But it shouldn't be like this. This is not a conversation that can be rushed. I want to tell you everything, but in a proper setting. Lima, Killian, and I exchanged glances. Lima was first to speak. It might be foolish, but we could use Raton's help. If we want to split up to save time and be able to return to Calcutta by sunset, we will need 2 interpreters. Killian sighed heavily as if giving up. This is a bad idea. I don't trust him anymore. We don't have that many options. Let's try at least. No, we'll do everything by ourselves. Do you want this case to drag on even further? And how do we split up? Killian with Raton, Lima with me, Killian with me, Lima with Raton. I feel like if Killian was with Raton, Killian might kill the man. YOLO. Killian frowned, shaking his head. No, that won't do. 2 women alone, it's not safe. Then I can go with Raton and you go with Amala. Yes, I agree. Killian looked at Raton sternly. Stay close and keep an eye on Lima. I want to make sure she's safe with you. I'll take care of her. Wow. That walk together clearly did them good. So it's decided? Killian has a thing for Lima because of you. Yes, let's go. We left the house. As agreed, everyone split into pairs. Raton and Lima went to the western part of the village, and Killian and I went to the eastern. Walking side by side, we talked. I don't like this Vash's sudden arrival, being dragged into some house. It's not some house, it's his house. Here in Clipagrami. What a wonderful coincidence. I walked on, feeling wary, hostile stares on my back. I'm worried about what's going on. My hunch is worth trusting, believe me. I believe you. Your experience should be reckoned with. If you are nervous here, things must be bad. I'm glad you're having fun, Amala. I hope that it'll stay that way. And we won't have any reason to get out of here. You have grown closer. We found ourselves on a narrow street flanked by small houses. People were going about their business, but noticing us, they stopped what they were doing. They're staring at us again. Please be quiet. We need to be polite. We should ask someone older who will still remember what happened. The first few passerbyers didn't even speak to me, backing away or even pretending that I wasn't there. Another one tried to touch me as if I was some kind of interesting exhibit, Killian shoot him away. But there weren't that many people there, and I was starting to lose hope. Time passed, but no one wanted to talk to us. Moreover, they were looking at us so intently and greedily that I started to feel scared. It seemed they might attack us and tear us to pieces at any moment. Their faces showed showed interest as well as disgust. I wasn't sure which was better. Look, there's someone there. We got to a small house where a woman was taking care of a cow. Her every movement was precise, neat, as if she had repeated it hundreds, no thousands of times. Good afternoon. You know our language. Everyone thinks you're one of those... the British. He spat out the last word with contempt. No, my family is from India. How good it feels to say that I'm an Indian. I can express my love for India and its culture both through my words and my actions. A smile appeared on the woman's lips. It's good, it's right. What's your name? Rani. Nice to meet you, Rani. My name is Amala. And your last name? Khan. The woman winced. I see. Why should I use Vaisha's? I lost one Okay, alright, I'll see where we're going here. This is the second time my name provoked this reaction. Ronnie looked at Killian. Well, this one is obviously not from here. He doesn't know the language. You can speak freely. Killian was watching us clearly, understanding that what we were talking about him. What's there to say? Why did you come? 23 years ago. An incident happened here. I would like to ask what you know about it. Ronnie started nervously petting the cows, and her tone became hurried. What happened a long time ago? Why dig it back up? It was long forgotten. Thank our luck that we were unharmed. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to tempt fate. Killian leaned a little closer to me and whispered to each other. She seems nervous. It's because we're talking about the murder. Killian nodded, took a few steps away from me, pretending to be very interested in the local landscape. He figured out that he was making Ronnie uncomfortable. That man was drunk, right? I heard he beat his wife. Time to bluff. How do you know? The elder Dubé told me. He was working on his case. Do you know Devdas Dubé? She uttered his name with reverence. Yes, I'm in his social circle. Why didn't you say that right away? Ronnie became flustered, brushing off her clothes and smoothing her hair. Yes, he beat her. Do you think it was his punishment? Maybe he made someone angry with his behavior. Who would dare to do such a thing just out of spite? It was different. It was for another reason. To independence. So, what happened? You chose the right approach on the first try. Had a different purpose, maybe. Something religious? She flinched as if my words made her uncomfortable. Then she waved it off. Don't say this. You better keep quiet about this, Amala. And don't ask anyone else here about this if you want to live. But they won't tell a stranger anything, even if you pretend to be a local. No one here will talk to you. Only Maharvi is not afraid, but he has been gone for 3 days. Who's Maharvi? Or Ver? The village Brahmin. Look for him if you can find him. She turned away, putting an end to our conversation. Killian and I walked away, and I told him everything. I'm getting tired of the riddles. I'd like to find this Mahaver. Maybe Isha knows him. Let's go look for him. We once again found ourselves on the biggest street in the village. It felt busier now. Women were doing household chores, children were running around digging in the ground, men were talking to each other. And the man who attacked me was standing nearby and watching us like a hawk. Was he following me all this time? I turned away abruptly. I noticed Lima and Ratan not far from the street. They looked puzzled. Hey, is everything okay? Lima looked at me with concern. Our driver is gone. And the van. What? Lima folded her arms, clearly nervous. I went to tell him that we wanted to leave soon. The locals were silent, kept telling us to speak to a certain Brahmin who's been gone for several days. And there's nothing else for us to do here, right? But we came here, and both he and the van were gone. That sounds like they scared the van driver away. I told Lima, and now you not to worry. There must be a phone somewhere. We'll be able to contact him. But why would he leave? Didn't we hire him for the whole day? I don't know. If we find him, he'll have to explain himself. This goes for you too, Vaish. Since we're free, do you want to talk? Do we need to discuss what we've learned first? We haven't learned anything, Amala, as usual. In that case, Killian, we need to talk to you too. I know you're hiding something from us. Yes, I guess so are you. Lima intervened. Hey, why are we fighting with each other instead of working? Because I have questions, Lima, that cannot be ignored. And they are meant for Amala. You're good at anticipating things, and often your assumptions prove correct. You're partly directing the investigation. Isn't it in the direction of what benefits you most? Your family's from India. We don't know your exact origins. Maybe you're from Calcutta. It also worries me that someone influential has included you specifically in our group. Well, this came out of left field. Do you have any contacts in Calcutta that we should know about? Do you think Amala is somehow involved in this? I was stunned by what he just said. For the first few moments, I was just speechless. Are you being serious? After everything we've been through together? I've gone through so much just to hear something like that. Guys. That's enough. Breton's voice interrupted us. Let's go back inside. We'll talk there. Killian wanted to object, but Breton just shook his head. Right, let's leave. They're staring at us too intently. The house was quiet the first few minutes. We sat silently around the dining table. Apparently the tension got the better of us, and we even began to suspect each other. That place was driving us crazy. Breton was the first one to speak. Amala has nothing to do with the murders. Obviously. I do. I thought I must have missed her, but Lima's shocked face proved otherwise. You what? Killian didn't even say a word, remaining perfectly still. I noticed his hand slowly and quietly move to his chest, where his gun holster was. We were sitting far away from each other, so I tried to catch his eye. When I managed to do so, I shook my head. Don't look at me like that. I didn't kill anyone. I know who's doing it, but I never directly participated. None of us said a word. I almost cowered in fear. I noticed before that he'd been acting weirdly, and I was not mistaken. So you've been deceiving us all this time? No. I've just been watching you and leading you away from those secrets that you don't need to know. That we don't need? Indeed. Killian pinched the bridge of his nose, closing his eyes. I'm so sick of this. Vaish, do you really think I care about what you're protecting here? I want to do my job and leave, and you're interfering with that. Captain Lightwood, if it wasn't for me, one of your heads would have been long decorating the ritual room. Like Mr. Rose's head? Alas, someone had to be sacrificed. Alas, you haven't got an ounce of mercy in you. You meddled where you don't belong, and someone had to pay for it, the one who was best suited for this role. Why should I feel sorry for him? I wouldn't say no one deserves that, but why him? and not one of us. It's your fault that he was killed, right? Are you somehow connected with those people?
Yes, I am, but Amala isn't. I need to explain that I don't mean you any harm, quite the opposite. I came here to keep you out of danger.
What danger?
The locals are very religious. They don't like it when strangers meddle in their affairs. I'll give you a hint. The very first ritual murder took place here. This is cursed land, and you're not welcome here. Amala learned it the hard way, right? Your driver ran off at the first opportunity. Because he knows about Kliphagrami, and so do many people in Calcutta. Isn't it obvious that you are being led into a trap? And it will be very difficult to get out of it on your own. Amala, did you know about this, about the village?
Nip all suspicions in the bud, or no? I guess diamond choice. Enough. Didn't I say I have nothing to do with this? I know more about everything because I'm a goddamn Indonologist. That's enough, Killian. I've got many things to say to, Once again, I was chosen for this job without being asked. And they gently suggested that I should agree, otherwise my life in London was set to become much more difficult. I was faced with a done deal. I'm not going to listen to someone's accusations on top of it. Now, do we understand each other? You put everyone in their place. Raton looked at me with a glint of admiration in his eyes. Killian sighed and nodded.
I hear you. I'm sorry.
Vaish, why are you helping us? Why do they keep flipping them from one side of the page to the other? I don't understand. Kind of confusing at times.
You're not the kind of people who deserve an untimely fate. At first, I was there simply to do my job, to keep an eye on you and direct the investigation where it needed to go. But over time, I realized that you're not a danger to us.
To us? Who's us? He fell silent, and his silence didn't bode well.
Us, the locals, and we'll manage our own business.
Killing people during rituals is what you call your business? The agreement clearly states that you cannot do this. And when our man came to sort things out, you killed him too?
Are you laying your cards on the table?
No, not yet. That's it. That's what the Bahoot was talking about. Killian, what do you mean by that?
Later, Lima, I need to think.
Killian pulled out a pack of cigarettes and left the house.
I'll go find out what happened to your driver.
Raton left too. Lima and I found ourselves alone, the only ones who didn't understand anything. What the hell just happened? I wish I knew. Men's egos. I opened my eyes when it was already dark outside. My body had just shut down from the information overload and all the stress. I felt drained, as if I had slept for a couple of years, not just hours. Lima was sleeping on the other sofa. Without waking her up, I went outside. It's very foggy here now. Our little street was immersed in fog. It rolled down the slopes of the mountains, covering Kliphagrami in a thick blanket. Killian was leaning against the fence.
You're awake.
What's with the weather?
Very hot and humid. It's common in the highlands.
Did you find out anything about Raton or our driver?
No. If we have to spend the night here, I'll sleep in the living room. That way I'll be the first to know if anything dangerous is going on.
Killian. Tell me, why did the diplomat come here? I know it's probably a secret, but we could do with one less of those.
I'll tell you about it later. I promise.
There was a rustle from behind us. We turned around but couldn't see anything through the night shadows and fog.
It's probably some kind of animal. I think there's no point waiting for Vaish. Let's go inside.
What if the driver shows up? Or Ratan?
Wow, you're an optimist. Even if the driver shows up, driving through the mountains in such a fog would be a bad idea.
We had no choice but to return to the house. Before I left, I suddenly felt someone watching me. I turned around, but I couldn't see anyone. Am I going crazy? I crawled under the covers to keep out the cold and the dampness. Does Ratan really live here? This house is not habitable at all. There's no food nor heating. Those were my last thoughts before I fell fast asleep. Listen, you got a place to sleep. It's all that matters. As soon as Amala disappeared into the house, he came out of the shadows, full of confidence and knowing exactly what to do. He was not mistaken when he lunged at her, when he wanted to tear her apart and throw her out of the village. He thought she had come to desecrate all that was holy, that she came to destroy everything. I won't allow it. He's such a friendly man. Oh, no stats at the end of the video. Huh. Alright, well. Without further ado, love your beautiful faces. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And down in the description, plenty of things to check out, links, and ways to support the channel, and also become more of an intricate part of the community and whatnot via discussions and Discord and whatnot. With that being said, once again, thank you all for watching. As I promised on the community page on the channel, that I would, in fact, be resuming Romance Club at the beginning of the year. Which, hey, Happy New Year's 2024. Hopefully, you all are doing good so far in the new year, and gonna try and make it the best you possibly can. With that being said, like I said, I'm aiming to do more videos and focus on this type of content since you all are asking for it, at least a handful of you, but hopefully there's more than just a handful of you. It would really be appreciated if you guys would be more vocal about things, in terms of, you know, what you think about videos and things like that, voices, pronunciations, or really anything, really, especially if you want to see something covered. Chime in any comment section or communicate directly with me. I appreciate those, either way. But, with that being said, catch y'all later. Peace out.